Hello friends. Today we are still working on graphing. If you remember on Monday, we graphed the warm fuzzies by their color. Okay, that's one way we can graph and sort things. Yesterday you talked about graphing things by their shape. Triangular, square. Today we have another way of graphing. I would like your help. We're going to graph some things by size. Now remember, graphing helps us to answer questions or solve problems. So last summer I went to the beach and I had a very fun time and I collected some really nice shells. But I'm wondering today, my question is, how many of my shells did I collect were big? Because I want to graph by size. How many of my shells were medium size? And how many of my shells were small? I'm just curious. This graph is going to help me. So remember I said that we usually give a graph a title. So the title of my graph is Shell Graph. And if you look down, I brought from school our special graphing mat that you might remember us using before. So let's put our sizes along this side. We will graph shells that are small down this column. If we feel the shells are medium size, we'll put it in this column. And if the shells are big, let's graph them in this column. All right, so we'll reach in and we'll pull out a couple of shells to compare. All right, I think definitely this shell is small, so we'll put it in the small box. This shell looks medium, wouldn't you say? And I showed you at the very beginning, we had this one is a big shell. Okay, so I'm going to reach in and continue to lay my shells down the columns, staying in the boxes. And sometimes I'll have to decide, I think these are more medium size. Sometimes it's really easy to decide the sizes. Those look small. I love, this is probably my favorite shell, very unique. Okay, these look, I would say, medium. Medium, oh look how long the medium row is getting. I've got some other shells that are very small. I'm going to put those in the small boxes. Boys and girls, this graphing is really helping me to see. Here's another medium, small. I'm going to say that's small. We'll have to go a little bit longer. All right, so boys and girls, taking a look at our results. This is our data, and it tells us how many big, medium, and small. When you look at it right away, your brain should be telling you, which kind of shell did I have the most of? Thumbs up if you notice small. So I like to record my results. So I brought a sticky note pad and a marker. So it'll help me count how many small shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll record our data. 10 small shells. And we'll put this sticky note at the very end of our graph. Okay. Now, it's really easy to see the big shells. You could subitize that. Right away, your brain should recognize 2 shells. I don't even need to count that. 2 shells were big, so we'll put a 2 in our graph. Now, the medium, I think we're going to have to count. It's a little bit larger, maybe too hard to subitize. But if you look down the column, what could help us is you see that it has the small column has 2 more shells than the medium, so that might help you to guess the number. But let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Kiss your brain if you knew it was 8. Because when we look at the big, long row column of the small shells, it's 2 more than this row. So that might help us to figure out that this medium row has just 8, 2 less. So let's take a look at our shell graph results. We had 2 big shells 8 of the medium shells, and the small shells show 10. Now we can tell right away the smallest group is the big shell group, only 2. But when we compare the small and the medium, I can look at the graph and the lines, and it shows me this small shell side has 1, 2 more boxes filled. So it's telling me that the 10 shells is greater than the medium-sized shells or the big shells. And the difference between the small and the medium shells is 2, because there's 2 empty boxes in the medium column. So boys and girls, today at home, see if you can find some items that you're curious about and see if you can graph them. And it's okay if you don't have a graphing mat, you could put them out. You could even draw chalk lines outside with chalk and graph them, or just lay them down on your carpet or your floor and make rows like we did, or columns, and see if you can graph your items. You could graph things like we did today by size, if you would like. You could graph them by color, like we did with our warm fuzzies, or you could graph them by shape. Have fun graphing and solving problems, boys and girls.